What is going on, YouTube? It is your boy MrBaboon back with a reaction video. So this time we have, why did the British only hang this monkey? I don't know anything about this. We're gonna learn about it. I think it's gonna be interesting. We're gonna figure out why they killed this monkey. So make sure you guys do check the link in the description, and there will be the channel link and the video link in the description. If you guys want to check it out, you guys can. With that being said, let's get to it.
This video is kindly sponsored by Morning Brew, the free daily newsletter. Hey, 42 here. If you ever find yourself in the seaside town of Hartlepool in the northeast of England, head to the harbour and look for the monkey statue. You'll know him by his rather cross-looking face, as he sits on his plinth, arms and legs curled around a bowl, with a sign that reads, "Make a wish for the monkey," inviting people to throw a coin in. And this monkey has every right to feel a little cross, because he was apparently hanged by a bunch of Hartlepool fishermen back in the early 19th century.
Damn.
Now, it's no secret our ancestors loved a good hanging, with public executions carried out in Britain right up until 1868, even for relatively innocuous crimes like minor burglaries or forging banknotes. But no one's ever caught a monkey forging a banknote, let alone anything worse. So why would anyone want to hang one?
Yeah, why?
Britain in the early 19th century was at war. Not with the monkeys, of course, that would be mental, but with Napoleon's France. The Napoleonic Wars were a series of bloody conflicts fought between 1803 and 1815, as Napoleon sought to expand his empire, and Britain was high on his list of places to invade. The wars threw the country into a state of fear and chaos, with men signing up to fight and government investing heavily in new ships, cannons, and sea defences. You can still see large stone towers, known as Martello Towers, in seaside towns across southern England, built in anticipation of the need to defend.
Hey, anyone in the comments, let me know if you guys actually went to go see this. Like, what's on screen? Oh. Yeah, there we go. Figure out which way. But let me know if you guys seen this in real life or anything. Let me know down below in the comments. I think it would be really cool to go see one of these one day.
A Napoleonic invasion. All this was pretty expensive, and so taxes shot up. At the same time, Napoleon stopped large numbers of trade ships from travelling to Britain, leading to food shortages and ever-increasing prices. Times were hard, and it's fair to say, the French weren't overly popular amongst Britons at the time. All of which goes some way to explain why, when a French ship got into trouble in stormy seas near Hartlepool's harbour, instead of attempting to help, the town's fishermen simply sat on the dock and kept watch for any plucky survivors who might try and swim their way to shore. Apparently, the fishermen fancied themselves as potential war heroes, hoping to capture a French soldier, interrogate him, and perhaps even put an end to the war by learning some vital piece of intel that might help the war effort. And they were, it seemed, in luck, because before long, a Frenchman did indeed wash up on the Hartlepool shore. The fisherman sprang into action, grabbed the sailor and dragged him onto the beach. Before Morning Brew, I used to spend my mornings scrolling through various social media, aimlessly looking for something to stimulate my sleepy neurons, but I often found myself looking at the same monotonous news as the day before. But now, with Morning Brew, I can be up to date with all the latest business, tech, and finance news in just 5 minutes. Morning Brew is the perfect way to start your day. There's no dense and tedious articles, it's just relevant, informative updates written in a refreshing and witty narrative. The newsletter is delivered daily from Monday through to Sunday, meaning you're reading new content day to day. Just the other day on Morning Brew, I learned that Wyoming recently became the first US state to officially recognize a decentralized autonomous organization. That's a community that uses blockchain to govern itself without any central authority, making it the first crypto-friendly place to live in America. It's nice to see the Old West still has its pioneer spirit. So, if you're interested in business, tech, or finance like I am, there's really no reason not to subscribe to Morning Brew. It's completely free, and it takes less than 15 seconds. And to make it even easier, you can just go ahead and click the link in the description below to subscribe today. When they got him safely onto dry land, they were able to get a proper look at him. And he turned out to be a strange sailor indeed, being exceedingly hairy and surprisingly small. But then the fishermen had never seen a Frenchman before, so perhaps they believed this was simply what they looked like. After all, British propaganda cartoons of the time depicted Napoleon as being ridiculously short and childlike. He was drawn as a tiny figure in boots that were far too big for him, shaking his fist in a toddler-style temper tantrum, or struggling with an enormous sword that dwarfed his tiny body. Of course, the real Napoleon wasn't small at all, and at 5'7" stood several inches taller than your average Frenchman in the early 19th century. It was pretty unsophisticated as far as propaganda goes, but oddly enough, the idea of a pint-sized Napoleon persists, even to this day. The small hairy man was also chattering away unintelligibly, but since none of the fishermen spoke any languages other than English, they probably assumed this monkey chatter was what French sounded like. Naturally, the language barrier made questioning their spy rather difficult. The men drilled their captive with the hardest hitting questions they could think of, but instead of responding in English, or indeed anything else that a civilized human being might call a word, he kept making strange screeching noises. Frustrated at their inability to gain any war-ending information, the fishermen put the Frenchman on trial and convicted him of spying. He was then duly hanged in the town square using makeshift gallows made with wood.
Yeah, let me just say, he couldn't defend himself or anything. We don't even know why he was there.
From his own shipwreck, just to really rub it in. Okay, before we go any further, I think it's time to address the elephant in the room. This all sounds a bit far-fetched, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, the people of 19th century Hartlepool weren't the most enlightened around. Come to think of it, the 21st century versions aren't much better. But I'm guessing they were probably capable of distinguishing a man from a monkey.
Yeah?
And when you start to dig a little deeper, that isn't the only part of this hairy tale that starts to look a bit suspect. For starters, there's no records of a French shipwreck near Hartlepool at any time during the Napoleonic Wars. 14 ships did sink nearby during those years, but none of them were French, and whether any of them had a monkey on board is anyone's guess. There's also no mention of the story in any records from around the time it supposedly happened. In fact, the first mention of the Hartlepool monkey comes in 1854, when a music hall entertainer named Ned Corvin began singing about it. Ned wasn't a Hartlepool man, but a Geordie raised around 25 miles away in Newcastle. The son of a widow with 4 hungry children to feed, Ned needed to find a way to make some cash quickly. And that he did, becoming the Northeast's first big music hall star, travelling the region to sing his songs to adoring crowds. Sure. But old Ned wasn't even born until 1830, 15 years after the Napoleonic Wars had finished. So, how did he come across the monkey story? Yeah. And is there any chance that it might be true? One theory is that the Hartlepool hanging incident did indeed happen, but the victim was a boy rather than a monkey. At the time, warships employed young lads to fetch gunpowder from a specialised storage area within the ship, known as a powder magazine. And it just so happens that these boys were known as powder monkeys. It's conceivable that it wasn't a real monkey that washed ashore in Hartlepool, but a powder monkey, and the meaning was simply lost during an intergenerational game of Chinese whispers. Plausible, but there's still a serious problem that, as far as we know, there were no French ships wrecked near Hartlepool during the Napoleonic Wars.
What?
Perhaps a more likely explanation for the Hartlepool monkey story is that it grew out of a similar story that originated in Scotland in 1772 and got rather out of hand. You see, Ned's song is very similar to a tune by the name of Bedama's Hung the Monkey-O, which is about the hanging of a monkey after a shipwreck in the seaside village of Bedam in northeast Scotland. Not only is the story almost the same, the song has very similar lyrics to the Hartlepool song and was even sung to the same tune. It's thought that Ned Corvin would probably have toured Scotland and may have heard the song before adapting it for Hartlepool. Even that doesn't quite cover it though, as it turns out that there are, bizarrely enough, multiple stories and songs about monkeys being involved in cases of mistaken identity in the 19th century. In one, an Irish farmer goes to a barber shop for a shave, only to mistake a pet monkey for the barber himself. In another very similar story that emerged in Newcastle, Ned Corvin's hometown, a local labourer mistakes a monkey for a shopkeeper. And another Newcastle-based story from around this time has a baboon running through the streets dressed as a Russian soldier. It seems likely that a combination of all of these bizarre monkey tales inspired Ned Corvin to write the Hartlepool monkey song. But why this weird proliferation of songs and stories of monkeys being mistaken for humans in the first place? Well, either all these stories were based on real events and our great-great-great-grandparents lived in some kind of Planet of the Apes nightmare, or all of this monkey news was mostly just a harmless way to poke a bit of fun at people.
Watch football all season long, live and cable-free.
The industrial town we now call Hartlepool was once known as West Hartlepool, distinct from the original village of Hartlepool a little way up the coast. Some think that Corvin may have written the song for a West Hartlepool audience, so that its residents could feel superior to the silly yokels up the road in the old village who were so stupid they couldn't tell a human from a monkey. However it might have come about, the Hartlepool monkey has turned into an unlikely source of pride for the townspeople, inspiring a play and several books. In 1999, the town's football club created a new mascot in honor of the hanged monkey, named Hangus the Monkey. See what they did there? Honestly, I could probably have done a whole video on this one mascot, who seems to have courted more than his fair share of controversy over the years. He's been kicked out of his own stadium on more than one occasion. Once on suspicion of being drunk, another time for pretending to have sex with a female steward, real classy Hangus, and once for sabotaging a charity tombola. Hangus also once got into a friendly fight with rival mascot Desmond the Dragon, during which Hangus proceeded to punch the dragon's head clean off. I can only assume any young fans watching at the time carry the scars of that incident to this day. In an absolutely epic plot twist, the man inside the monkey costume during all of these borderline illegal antics, a chap called Stuart Drummond, somehow ended up becoming the mayor of Hartlepool afterwards. And seriously, I'm not making this up, campaigning on a promise of free bananas for children. Now, I haven't exactly set him up as the world's most reliable source, but Drummond is absolutely adamant the story of the Hartlepool monkey, the one that was hanged, not the sex-offending mascot, is at least in part real, claiming the story.
Now, I will say, I had no idea about this mascot. But I mean, what this mascot's done, it's pretty fucked up shit, it sounds like.
is so bizarre, there simply must be some element of truth to it. And perhaps he has a point. Many Hartlepoolians certainly feel pretty committed to the story, as demonstrated in 2005 when an apparent monkey bone washed up on the Hartlepool shore, causing huge excitement. Sadly, rather than proving the truth of this tall tale, it turned out to be a prehistoric deer bone.
Oh, shit.
Whilst Hartlepool's people have grown quite
cool,
attached to their monkey story, the same can't be said for the people of Bodham, where what may have been the original hanged monkey story arose. In fact, it's still a sore point now, 200 years on. So, if you ever find yourself in that particular corner of Aberdeenshire, trust me, don't mention the monkey. I mentioned it once, but I think I got away with it alright. In their version of the story, a ship called the Annie was wrecked just off the coast of Bodham. The law at the time stipulated that a wreck was fair game, and local people could strip it of anything they liked, as long as there was no one still living on board. In fact, many small communities relied on shipwrecks for firewood, cargo, and the odd bit of treasure. To the extent that when lighthouses became commonplace in the 19th century, there were protests because the locals didn't want to lose their regular shipwrecks and the chance to plunder them.
Damn.
And so, as would have been customary, when the Annie was wrecked, local fishermen climbed on board, intending to strip the wreck of anything they could use. They didn't find any men alive, but they did find a monkey, whom they promptly hanged. In some versions of the story, the fishermen did this because they thought the monkey would count as a living person, or they believed he was a living person rather than a monkey, meaning they couldn't strip the wreck. In other versions, it said they thought the monkey was harboring the soul of the devil. Either way, the outcome was the same. The devil monkey got what was coming to him in the form of a short, sharp drop. The story has been used to torment the people of Bodham ever since. It's also fueled a bitter rivalry between Bodham and nearby Burnhaven. Burnhaveners were said to look down on Bodhamers as backwards monkey hangers, whilst Bodhamers responded in kind by viewing their neighbours as idiots for continuing to believe such a ridiculous story. So is this version of the monkey story at least true? It's certainly the case that there was a ship called the Annie that was wrecked off the coast of Bodham in 1772, but that's where the verifiable truth of the matter seems to end. No one knows why or how the monkey got involved, and whilst there's no evidence it didn't happen, there's no evidence it did either. But what we do know for sure is that Bodham's people dislike the song intensely, even 200 years on, and emphatically do not want to be seen as callous monkey murderers. I think we can all relate to that. Perhaps the people of Hartlepool once felt the same about their monkey story too. But I for one, am glad they didn't try to sweep it under the carpet and now tell it with pride. Tall as this tale may be, it offers a fascinating glimpse into how stories can catch the imagination, be told and retold over the generations, and how the most unlikely things can be believed, even centuries later.
Shit.
Thanks for watching.
No, this really. I like this video.
Check out my new podcast, Random Interesting Facts, available on YouTube.
I definitely like this video. We're gonna subscribe to him too. Get some more videos. We might find some more that we can react to from this dude. So definitely an interesting video. I never heard about this until this video. So definitely interesting. Still some questions, but I mean it looks like it was like it's never actually been proven that it was a monkey on any of these wrecked ships or anything. So I'm gonna like. It seems like there's not really proof to it, but still pretty cool. It is pretty fucked if it is true though, because you know the monkey can't defend himself. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. That's going to do it for this video. Like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys in the next video. Positivity is key. Motivation is key. Happiness is key. You guys watch out for each other. All that good stuff. Happy New Year's again. So, I'll see you guys in the next one. You guys stay safe. I think that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video.